Hi students, welcome back to the electrostatics lecture number 5, in which I am going to teach you about the most important law in electrostatics, that is Gauss law in electrostatics. Okay, the reason I am saying the most important law in electrostatics is that this law is very useful to find out electric field due to different charged bodies or charge distributions. See, we can use either Coulomb's law or Gauss law to find out electric field due to charges, because we know that every charge, whether it is in motion or rest, it produces electric field in the space around it, and that electric field can be found either by using Coulomb's law or Gauss law. Coulomb's law is based on the interaction between 2 point charges, whereas Gauss law is based on the total electric flux passing over the closed surface placed in electric field. Okay, but Gauss law is more useful than Coulomb's law, because Gauss law can be used to find out electric field due to complicated charged bodies also, the complicated systems. Okay, so that is why this law has lot of importance in electrostatics. Okay, so the statement for Gauss law is this: the total electric flux passing over the closed surface in free space is equal to the 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed by the closed surface. See, I am reading it again. The total electric flux passing over the closed surface in free space. See, that closed surface is already in electric field, and there is a free space. Okay, and that is equal to the total electric flux passing over the closed surface in free space is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed by that surface, the net charge enclosed by that closed surface. So pi total, the total electric flux, is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed by that surface. If you can remember this equation, you can write this statement. Pi total is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed by that surface. That means that in the previous video lecture, we have discussed about electric flux thoroughly. Right? What is electric flux? Electric flux is nothing but number of electric field lines passing through the surface normally. For example, if this is the surface, if these are the electric field lines, how many electric field lines are passing through this surface normally? For example, in this case, 3 electric field lines are passing. In this case, 4 electric field lines are passing. All of them are passing normal to this surface. So this is electric flux. Electric flux is a scalar quantity, which, for example, for 2D surfaces like circles, squares, the electric flux can be calculated using E dot A or EA cos theta, where E is electric field and A is area of that surface placed in electric field. But whereas for closed surfaces, that is 3D surfaces like spheres, cubes, the calculation of electric flux is a little different. We take small area segments out of that closed surface and find out electric flux through that small area element, like d pi e is equal to E dot ds, then summing all the electric individual fluxes passing through different small area segments, that will give you the total electric flux pi, which is equal to integral d pi, which is equal to integral E dot ds. So this was the method that we have learnt in the electric flux case in the previous video lecture. If you have not watched that electric flux video, do watch it. I will provide the video link of that in the description column of this video. So watching that video will definitely help you to understand this better. Okay, so electric flux can be calculated using a mathematical equation, that is integral E dot ds, which was discussed in that previous video lecture. But what Gauss law is saying, the simplest way, you don't need to calculate electric flux using this equation. If you want electric flux passing over the closed surface, you can just simply find out how much electric charge is enclosed by that surface, and that divided by epsilon naught will give you the electric flux. So there are two ways to find out electric flux. One way is that was discussed in the previous video lecture, that using this mathematical equation, pi total, the total electric flux passing over the closed surface is equal to integral E dot ds, closed integral, surface integral. But what Gauss is saying, this total electric flux can also be calculated in easy way, that if you can find out how much charge is enclosed by that surface, then that net charge enclosed by that surface divided by epsilon naught will give you the total electric flux. So this is the reason I have made this equation here. Pi total is equal to integral E dot ds is a mathematical equation for finding electric flux, which is equal to Q by epsilon naught according to Gauss law. The total electric flux passing over the closed surface in free space is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed by the closed surface. If Q is the net charge enclosed by the closed surface, then Q by epsilon naught will give you the total electric flux. And by using this law, we can find out electric field, you see. So we will see how this law is used to find out electric field in another video, the applications of Gauss law. Let us confine to what is Gauss law and how to prove this, and what are the most important points regarding this Gauss law, like worth noting points. And when this Gauss law is more useful or most useful, what are the conditions to be satisfied to make use of this Gauss law? See, Gauss law is applicable everywhere. It is valid everywhere. But there are certain conditions. If they are satisfied, then Gauss law can be used very easily. Otherwise, this law can be used, but the complicated integrations will trouble you. But it is valid everywhere. Remember this statement. Okay, so here epsilon naught is permittivity of free space. Permittivity of free space, which is 8.854 into 10 to the power of minus 12 coulomb square per Newton meter square. See, I said here surface is in free space. That's why we are using the permittivity of free space. Okay, so remember this equation. If you can remember this, you can write this statement very easily. Okay, so now we will try to prove this Gauss law with some simple example. Okay. For this, what I would take is, I would like to take a positive charge, which is a point charge. We know that every charge produces electric field in the space around it. So I am taking a charge Q. I can take, let me take it as some plus positive charge, and it produces electric field in the space around it. We know that electric field lines are always away from the positive charge. So this is electric field direction. Now if I consider a closed surface in spherical shape, so that this charge Q is inside that spherical surface with the radius R. So this is a spherical surface with the radius R. That means this distance is R. If I take this distance is R. Right? So this is the center of the sphere, this distance is R, and at the center of this sphere charge Q is there. Charge Q is at center of this sphere. Right? So now what I would like to do is, I would like to find out electric flux passing over this closed surface. What is pi total? I would like to find out this first. I know that pi total is equal to integral E dot ds, integral E dot ds, right? So first what I would like to do is, first let me consider one small area element here whose area is ds and its direction is this way. Area is a vector, and flux passing through this small segment, flux passing through small segment of area ds is equal to, let me take it as some d pi e. It will be E dot ds, E dot ds, the mathematical equation for finding electric flux. This is nothing but E ds cos theta, E ds cos theta. See, I am trying to prove Gauss law, remember this. D pi equal E ds cos theta. What is theta here? Theta is angle between E and ds. And if you look at this picture, what is the angle between E and ds? Electric field direction is this way, and ds direction is also in the same way. So in this particular case, d pi e is equal to E ds cos 0 in this particular case, which means E ds right. Now if I want total flux, I have to integrate this, which is equal to E dot EDS. See, d pi is nothing but E dot ds, integral E dot ds, or E dot ds means EDS cos theta is cos 0, so cos 0 is 1, so we have got pi total as integral E dot EDS. Now if you observe this, the electric field is same everywhere on this spherical surface. You take any surface, for example here, for example here, for example here, for example here. Everywhere you will see that E and ds are in the same direction. E and ds are in the same direction, and E value is constant. E value is constant because every point on this surface is equidistant from the center of this sphere, and charge is at the center. E is constant. Everywhere you can say E is constant, that is same at every point on surface. At every point on surface, E is constant, that is same at every point on the surface, which means that I can write, let me take out this, I can write pi total as E integral ds. E is constant, so E is taken out of the integral. Pi total is equal to E integral ds. And we know that integral ds is equal to surface area of sphere, because our surface is spherical in shape. What is this? 4 pi r square. It is a spherical in shape with radius r. So surface area of that spherical surface should be 4 pi r square. So what we have got? Pi total as E into 4 pi r square. The total electric flux passing over this closed surface placed in electric field. An electric field is due to the point charge Q. Is this much? E into 4 pi r square. Okay, but we know already that we have calculated the electric field due to point charge, that electric field at a distance of r due to point charge Q is E equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by r square. This was calculated in one of my previous video lectures when I have discussed about electric field and electric field lines. I think lecture number 3, electrostatics. You can watch that video so that you will understand how this equation came. Electric field at a distance of r due to point charge Q is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by r square. And with this equation, I can write that pi total as E into 4 pi r square means E is what? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square into 4 pi r square. See, what is this E? E is the electric field produced by what? This point charge. Where? On the surface. At what distance? Capital R. So exactly matching with this. See, this is electric field produced by a point charge, and at a distance of capital R, that electric field value is this. See, this is electric field produced by a point charge on the surface of the spherical surface. For example, here. E is constant, E is same at every point on surface. And how much is that? That is this. At a distance of r from charge q, electric field is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. So now if you see this, you can cancel 4 pi with this 4 pi and r square with this r square. You are left with pi total as q by epsilon naught, which is our Gauss law. The proof for Gauss law. See, how did we prove this? We just have taken one point charge of positive charge so that the electric field direction is outwards from it, and we have considered one closed spherical surface in that electric field so that that charge is enclosed by that spherical surface, and calculated electric flux using mathematical equation integral E dot ds, and we found that integral E dot ds as integral EDS cos theta, integral EDS cos 0, because theta is the angle between E and ds. If you see, everywhere on this surface electric field and area vector are in the same direction. So integral EDS cos 0, which means integral EDS, and E is same everywhere. E is constant at every point on the surface because every point on the surface is equidistant from the center of the sphere. So E is taken out of the integral, and E integral ds is nothing but the surface area of the spherical surface that we have considered with radius r, so that it is 4 pi r square, and we got pi total is equal to E into 4 pi r square, and that E is electric field produced by this point charge at a distance of r, so that this is substituted here, and we have cancelled this 4 pi r square and left with q by epsilon naught. Now what we have found, that the total electric flux passing over this closed surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed by this surface. See, how much is the charge enclosed by this surface? It's a small q. What is Gauss law? Gauss law is talking about the total electric flux passing over the closed surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed by it. How much is the charge enclosed by it? Only one charge, that is plus q at the center. So that is this Gauss law. Okay, so this is the proof for Gauss law. Okay, now we will see what are the conditions, the best conditions to make use of this Gauss law. To make use of Gauss law, what are the best conditions? As I said, this law is valid everywhere. This law can be used anywhere, but this law is useful in certain situations where certain conditions are satisfied. If they are satisfied, this law can be used very easily, but otherwise it is going to be a complicated derivation if you use this Gauss law. Okay. Gauss law is useful if following conditions are satisfied. But remember, Gauss law is valid everywhere. But I am saying it is most useful if following conditions are satisfied. And condition number 1 is that the Gaussian surface is nothing but the spherical surface that we have considered in the case of proving that Gauss law. Just now I have wiped off the dotted lines, the surface that which we have considered as spherical surface, so that the charge is at the center of it. That is nothing but Gaussian surface. Okay, so Gaussian surface should be symmetric about charge or charge distribution. See, for example, if charge distribution is sphere, then Gaussian surface should also be spherical in shape. If charge distribution is a small cube, then Gaussian surface should also be in the shape of cube. So that is how the symmetric is. The Gaussian surface should be symmetric about charge or charge distribution. Okay, and number 2, electric field must be either 0 or constant at every point on Gaussian surface. See, as we have already discussed this on the spherical surface, that I am talking about Gaussian surface, the electric field is same everywhere. That is the reason we have written electric field outside the integral. If that is the case, Gauss law can be easily used. If electric field is either 0 or constant at every point on the Gaussian surface, then using this law is easy. But otherwise also you can use. But if this happens, then that is easy. If this happens, if E is 0 or constant, electric field, you can say E is equal to 0 or constant. Any value, but it should be constant. Okay, and third point is angle between E and ds, you can say. Electric field and area vector should be either 0 or 90 degrees. Either 0 or 90 degrees. Then in that case, see, 0 or 180 degrees are also fine, because both will give you E dot ds as 0. Either 0, 90, or you can say 0 should be equal to 0, 90 or 180, you can say. should be equal to 0, 90 or 180. See, for example, if theta is 0, E dot ds will be E ds cos 0. EDS, the equation will become simple. If theta is 90, EDS cos 90 will be vanished. It's very simple. EDS cos 180, again vanish, minus 1 you will get. Okay, so this angle between E and ds should be equal to 0, 90 degrees or 180 degrees. Okay, and the fourth point is Gaussian surface should not pass through any point charge. Gaussian surface, for example, whatever the Gaussian surface that we have drawn, should not cut or should not pass through any other point charge. See, in the previous case we have taken charges at the center and spherical surface is drawn around it, symmetric around it, which is a Gaussian surface, and that surface is not passing through any point charge. The charge is at the center. The Gaussian surface should not pass through any point charge. It should not cut any point charge. These are the precautions to be taken, and if these conditions are satisfied, and Gauss law can be used very easily to calculate electric field. But otherwise also it is useful, valid everywhere, but in that case it would be a complicated situation, so that means the solving integration will become tougher. Okay, so these are the conditions to be satisfied, so that we can pick up Gauss law to find out electric field if they are satisfied by that given problem. Okay, now we will see some important worth noting points regarding this Gauss law and electric flux. Very, very useful for entrance examination. Some interesting points you can find out. Okay, so important points. Are worth noting points. The first point is that, see, the electric flux is independent of dimensions, which means size or shape, you can say size or shape. Size or shape, dimensions of Gaussian surface. Electric flux is independent of dimensions of Gaussian surface, or you can say closed surface. How? For example, consider one charge Q here, plus Q, and the surface is spherical. What is the flux according to Gauss law? You can let me take it as some pi 1. If this is surface 1, what is the Gauss law? Pi 1 is equal to, the Gauss law is what? 1 by epsilon naught times charge enclosed by the surface. How much charge is enclosed by the surface? Q. So this should be Q by epsilon naught. Now let me take another surface 2 in cube shape. and Q is here. And what is the flux passing through this closed surface? According to Gauss law, 1 by epsilon naught times charge enclosed by this surface, it is Q by epsilon naught again. But if you see, this is spherical in shape, this is cubical in shape, independent of shape, size or shape. Okay. Now consider another surface in any irregular manner. You don't know what is the shape of it. And some charge Q is here. And what is the flux passing through this surface? Let me tell you, pi 3. First surface, second surface, third surface. How much? According to Gauss law, it should be again. How much is the charge enclosed by the surface? Q by epsilon naught. We have to look at how much charge is enclosed by the surface. Now if you see, pi 1 is equal to pi 2 equal to pi 3. But all these surfaces are different in shape. Spherical, cubical, some irregular shape. So independent of shape, electric flux is independent of shape. Okay, you can say electric flux is independent of dimensions of Gaussian surface, or you can say any closed surface, independent of a closed surface. Because Gaussian surface is anyway closed surface, but this will be more specific. Independent of closed surface. Now, what about the size? So, regarding size, for example, let me take some plus Q charge is here, and let me take the first surface in spherical with radius r. What is the flux passing through this surface? This should be pi equal to Q by epsilon naught. See, pi equal to Q by epsilon naught, because how much is the charge enclosed by this surface? Q by epsilon naught. Okay. Similarly, consider another surface with radius 2r. What is the flux passing through that surface? Again, this surface is also having plus Q charge inside. Take another one with radius 3r. How much is the flux? Again, this surface is also having plus Q charge. Again, flux is Q by epsilon naught. So in each case, whatever that is, you can say whatever the radius of surface, flux passing through them is same. See, flux passing through this surface with radius r is Q by epsilon naught. Flux passing through this surface with radius 2r is Q by epsilon naught. Flux passing through this radius 3r is also Q by epsilon naught. The electric flux will be, because it is a positive charge, the electric field lines will be this way. Outwards. But whatever the size of the spherical surface, whether it is with radius r, whether it is radius 2r, whether it is radius 3r or anything, the flux will be same, because all those surfaces having same charge enclosed by them. What is Gauss law? Gauss law is total electric flux is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times charge enclosed by it. Even this surface is having charge q, this surface is having charge q, this surface is also having charge q. So all of them are having a net charge q, so that the total electric flux should be 1 by epsilon naught times that net charge enclosed by that surface. So now hope you have understood. The electric flux is independent of dimensions of closed surface, that is size or shape. You can say shape, spherical, flux is q by epsilon naught, cubical q by epsilon naught, and irregular shape q by epsilon naught. Here size, whatever the size of closed surface, the flux passing through each surface is same, because each surface is having plus q charge inside it. So 1 by epsilon naught times that charge, that is q by epsilon naught, is same. How much here it is? Is same means q by epsilon naught. Pi is equal to q by epsilon naught. Okay, so this is very very important point about this Gauss law, or you can say electric flux. Worth noting points. And another point also I would like to discuss with you. Most important point again, you can see number 2. See, I have a surface of irregular shape, and some charges are there. Some q1 plus q1 is here, minus q2 is here, and plus q3 is here, and some plus q4 is here, and some plus q5 is here, and some minus q6 is here. And one surface is placed in this way. What is the total electric flux passing through this surface? The total electric flux passing through closed surface is pi total is now equal to, according to Gauss law, what? The net charge enclosed by it, 1 by epsilon naught times net charge enclosed by the surface. What is the net charge enclosed by the surface? It is q1 minus q2 plus q3, which is nothing but pi total is equal to integral E dot ds is equal to q1 minus q2 plus q3 by epsilon naught. See, Gauss law is talking about the net charge enclosed by the surface by epsilon naught. What is the net charge enclosed by the surface? The algebraic sum of all the charges, additive nature of charges. We have discussed in the beginning of this electrostatics, the lecture number 1. Algebraic sum of all the charges, q1 minus q2 plus q3 is the net charge enclosed by this surface. That by epsilon naught gives you total electric flux passing through this surface according to Gauss law. Okay, so this q1 minus q2 plus q3 is are the charges, the net charge enclosed by this surface. Okay, so one more important point in this is that this E, see, for example, I have E dot ds is equal to some q enclosed by epsilon naught. This is Gauss law. Okay, so let me write here. This q enclosed is this. Q enclosed is this, net charge enclosed by this. This E is due to all the charges, that is q1, let me write, q1 comma minus q2 comma plus Q3, comma plus Q4, comma plus Q5, comma minus Q6 is due to all the charges. But Q enclosed is what? Q enclosed is only plus Q1, comma minus Q2, comma plus Q3. Remember this point. In the Gauss law equation, we have this. Q enclosed is the charge enclosed by the surface. But E is due to all the charges, whether they are outside or inside. Whether they are outside or inside. This E is resultant electric field due to all the charges, because every charge produces electric field. Do not consider only the electric field due to the charges enclosed by the surface. The electric field here is net electric field, which is due to all the charges. Every charge produces electric field. So this E is due to all the charges. But when you are calculating electric flux, the Gauss law is talking about the total electric flux is equal to net charge enclosed by the epsilon naught, and that net charge is Q enclosed is only due to Q1, Q2 and Q3. Q1 minus Q2 plus Q3. This is very important point. Okay? And the third point, which is last point, is that, which is already discussed in the electric flux video, regarding outward flux and inward flux. Okay? So third point is outward flux is taken as positive and inward flux is taken as negative. One example I will take, some plus Q charge is here, okay, and electric field direction is this way, and let me consider one surface here of irregular shape. Now if you take this point, here electric field direction is this and ds direction is this. ds is this, E is this for this, whereas here electric field direction is this and ds is also this, which means that if I take this as first and this as second, pi 1 is equal to E dot ds is equal to E ds cos 180, because E is this way and ds is this way, which is minus E ds, and pi 2 equal to E dot ds equal to E ds cos 0 is equal, because E and ds is in the same way, so it is E ds. Now if you see this, this is negative and this is positive. So this is positive, outward flux. This is outward flux. Which is positive. And this is inward flux, which is negative. You can say this one. Pi 1 is inward flux and pi 2 is outward flux. Negative and positive, you see. Here it is 180 degrees, here it is 0 degrees. Positive and negative. And everywhere if you see for this, everywhere you will see that here, one is outward and one is inward. One is positive and another one is negative in same magnitude. The total electric flux will be 0. Net electric flux passing through this surface will be 0. That is a calculated one. But if you see simply that the charge is here and surface is here, there is no charge enclosed by the surface. You can say here net flux is equal to pi pi 1 plus pi 2 is equal to some 0. This is a calculated one. According to Gauss law, we can write this total electric flux as Q by epsilon naught is equal to 0, simply, without doing any calculation. How? The Gauss law is saying what? The Gauss law is talking about the total electric flux passing through closed surface equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed by the surface. But how much is the charge enclosed by this surface? No charge is enclosed by it. The charge is outside this surface. Q is outside to this surface. Q is outside surface. No charge inside surface. Q is 0 and hence total electric flux will be 0. So this is a simple flux calculation using Gauss law. If you know how much electric charge is enclosed by the surface. Okay, but this is calculated using mathematical equation integral E dot ds is equal to a total electric flux, or E dot ds equal to flux passing through small segment of the surface. So this is very simple, right? Right? So hope you have understood. In this video lecture, we have discussed what is Gauss law, what is a proof for it, what are the most important points regarding this Gauss law and electric flux, and what are the certain conditions to be satisfied to make use of this Gauss law to calculate electric field due to various charge distributions. And in the next lecture, I would like to discuss about differential form of Gauss law and different types of charge distributions and densities. Okay, so this is a Gauss law in integral form, integral E dot ds equal to Q by epsilon naught. So integral form of Gauss law, which we have discussed till now. Okay, we will see differential form of Gauss law as well as different type of charge densities and distributions, and some numerical problems in the next video lecture. Okay, hope you have understood. If you have any doubts regarding this lecture, you can put your doubts under the comment section so that I would reply to your doubts. Thank you very much.